Cooking for your partner doesn't have to be hard. These budget-friendly date night ideas come together so easily. To start, we are making a Cajun shrimp pasta. So I have half of a cup of green bell pepper and half of a cup of a white onion. For our shrimp, I'm using the large frozen shrimp from Walmart that I'm just taking the tails off. This is super easy. You just peel and pull and they come right off. For our seasonings, I'm using this Cajun two-step. We're going to use 1 tablespoon's worth. I absolutely love this seasoning. Next up, I have a half teaspoon of garlic, a half teaspoon of lemon pepper, 1 teaspoon of Italian, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and a 1/4 teaspoon of the Tony's blackening. Add a little bit of avocado oil and just mix this together. While we were seasoning, I had a pot of boiling water going and we were going to cook up our fettuccine. I used about half of a 16-ounce box and this is what it looked like. While that is cooking, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of butter and some avocado oil to a hot skillet. I wish I wouldn't have done the butter because I didn't get as much of a sear on my shrimp as I would like to, but it was totally fine. Once your shrimp are cooked, they're going to be a C shape and we're going to remove them from the pan. Next up, we are cooking our onions and green pepper until they are translucent. Once they are done, we are going to add in 1 can of fire roasted diced tomatoes, including the juice. Just dump that right in and give this a good stir. Once everything is completely combined, we are going to go in with some heavy whipping cream. So I have 1 cup's worth. Just going to pour that in alongside a 1/3 cup of chicken broth. Once fully combined, our pasta is done and I'm just going to dump that right in. My pasta was sitting for a little bit. I did reserve some of the pasta water, so I'm just going to pour that right into our dish. Once our noodles are fully combined, we are just going to toss back in our shrimp. Serve this with some garlic bread, and this is just a super easy and delicious, it was so good, pasta dish that your partner is going to love. Next up, we are making flank steak. Usually flank steak is what you would use for fajitas, but I didn't have any bell peppers left. We're not going to be cooking all of this, but I did go ahead and season it all up just with some seasoned salt, garlic powder, parsley, and pepper. Adding some olive oil, we are just going to mix this together, flip it on the other side, and season the other side the exact same way. For my mashed potatoes, my potatoes were starting to grow a little bit, but that is perfectly fine. I'm just going to put them in the pot and get them washed up. Once they are washed, we are just going to return to the cutting board, go ahead and peel them, which, fun fact, this was my duty as a kid, was peeling the potatoes, and I absolutely hated it. I didn't know how to peel potatoes. It was the worst. I dreaded it every time. And look at me now. I love cooking. So if you hate cooking something or you hate the process of cooking something, just, go ahead and do it enough times and you might start to like it. Once our potatoes are cut up, I just added them to the water with some salt and we're going to let that boil up. Once they're boiled, we're just going to drain them, add in half a tablespoon of butter. I'm using heavy whipping cream because I was out of milk. Just salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Add back in your potatoes and we are just going to mix them up so your potatoes are nice and coated, and then get to smashing them. Let me know in the comments down below if you are a creamy or thick potato person. I added a little bit more heavy whipping cream to make these a little bit smoother and creamier. Once that is done, we are going to go ahead and cook up our flank steak. So to a really hot skillet with some avocado oil, I'm just placing them down to get a nice sear on each side. These were pretty big, so it was kind of difficult to cook. I should have done them one at a time, but that's fine. So my flank steak was cooked about a rare to medium rare side. For me, it was just a little too red, so I did go ahead and put it back in the pan just for 2 minutes or so, but it cooked up nice and juicy. Just be careful to not overcook it. But I just served it up with those mashed potatoes. But I'm going to put y'all on something. I love pickles and mashed potatoes, pickles and baked potatoes, and pickles and popcorn. If you don't like pickles, I don't know if we can be friends. Just kidding. We can still be friends. Let me know in the comments down below what weird foods y'all like together. This next recipe, we are making enchilada pork chops. We're going to be dicing up 1/4 to 1/2 of a cup of red and green bell peppers alongside 1/2 of a cup of a white onion. Once that's all diced up, we are just going to set it to the side and get working on our seasoning for our pork chops. So I have about 4 pork chops here. I'm adding 1 tablespoon of homemade taco seasoning. For For enchilada sauce, I'm using a half a cup of the Siete brand. This is an apple cider vinegar base and it's my absolute favorite sauce. So just mix this together and we're going to set that to the side. To a hot skillet, we're going to cook down our white onions. Once those are nice, soft, and translucent, we are going to add in our green and red bell peppers. I didn't use the whole thing, so I probably had about a half a cup left or so, but you could definitely add more if you would like to. Once those are cooked down, we are going to add in 1 can of hot Rotel, or you could just use regular diced tomatoes, but I love the extra spice that Rotel gives to this. I am going to let this cook down for a little bit because I don't want as much of that Rotel juice, but I did want that extra flavor. Once that is done, make a space in the middle. We are going to place in our pork chops and get as much of that enchilada sauce as you can. You don't want anything to go to waste here. Cook these until they have a little bit of pink left in the center, but once you get them flipped, we are going to go in with a little bit of cheese. I have some Monterey Jack cheese that I have just shredded up myself, and I'm just going to top that on top of the pork chops. Place this into your oven for about 5 minutes or so. They came out perfect and juicy. I hope you guys enjoy these date night ideas. If you need some crock pot recipes for this upcoming school year, check out this video here and I will catch you guys there.